How's it going? Are you back for How to Become an MVP series? Well, obviously you are, right? That's why you're here. So this time I want to talk about podcasting. You know, I've been podcasting, I don't know, probably over 2 years now. Whoops.
Just ask, what can I say, and I'll show you what I can do.
Thank you, Siri. Is it Siri? Yeah, I don't need you. Thank you. Anyhow, back to what I was talking about, podcasting. I've been doing it a couple of years and I love it. You know, I now release 2 podcasts every week, Tuesdays and Thursdays. They always go live. And I've learned so much from it. Why did I get into podcasting? It was very simple. You know, I had been a manager of a lot of people for a long time, and often you tell people to do a lot of stuff, right? And I really felt that I was not a good listener. So I wanted to get good at listening. And the beauty of podcasting and the way I run my podcast, and I run mine quite different to perhaps other people even in the community are doing, is that mine are very much a question and answer based podcast. And when I ask a question, I have a post-it note there that says, shut up. It tells me to shut up when I ask a question. In other words, what I want to do is ask a question, let the other person speak, and really get good listening to what they were saying so that I would learn from what they were saying, and that, of course, anybody listening would also be able to learn from that person. It wasn't about me telling you what my opinion is or how I think it should be. There's been some recent podcasts where they're more conversational style, but particularly around the Dynamics 365 practice show and the Power 365 show, where I mainly interview Microsoft staff. It's really about hearing what they have to say, listening to the value they bring to the community, and I'm really just a facilitator of that. And that's why podcasting has been amazing for me. So my question to you is, why don't you start a podcast? As a way of contributing, why don't you start a podcast? You know, you might decide that, or you might have found that you're not a great writer, and writing doesn't appeal to you. It certainly doesn't appeal to me. It's hard work for me to write because it's just something that I didn't naturally pick up at school across my career. All those that know me really well know I can't spell, I'm bad at grammar, and I'm dyslexic, but that's okay. Podcasting worked very well for me in that respect. So before you start podcasting, you ask yourself why. Why, for me, was about listening and really getting good at listening. Your why might be different, but I feel that's the starting point for why you want to do a podcast. The second thing is format. There's different formats that podcasts can be done. You know, I have always chosen, to date so far, not saying it'll always be that way, to do what's called a remote format. So basically, I'm always on my computer at my end, the podcast software is on my side, and then my guest can be anywhere around the world. That works for me. But sometimes, Gus Gonzalez, for example, he likes to do his live. So everybody's on a mic headset on and they're in the same room and they're kind of, riffing off each other. And that is awesome. But for me, my style is very much remote rather than in person how I do it. Then you have different show formats. Some have, interview 3 or 4 people and bring in their opinions and do a mashup in that. Another great format. Others are more like radio shows with different segments and do voice overlays, etc. Whatever you want to do, decide and then start the planning to how to do a podcast. What equipment do you need? I've written blog posts on this. Naturally you'll need a microphone. You'll need some recording software. For me, I use a product called Cast, and it allows me to, it's designed specifically for podcasting. So I don't have to muck around with things like, Skype or other applications that the other person might not have. As long as it's got a web browser, Chrome specifically, we can do a recording. If they've got a microphone and a headset's so important so you don't get echo, is pretty much you're up and running. The last thing, though, I would say is think about consistency. I set out to do a podcast every fortnight when I started. I'm now doing them twice a week, right? And I don't miss a beat in how I do that. I do it consistently because people expect, if you say you're going to release every Tuesday and Thursday, that there's a podcast every Tuesday and Thursday for them to listen to if they're interested in the content that you're sharing with them. So consistency is so important. You can't just decide, well, I'll just do it when I feel like it. That may work okay. I haven't seen a lot of people successfully do just an ad hoc. But if you don't want to do a consistency over a long period of time, do a series. Do a 6-part series on Flow, or a 6-part series on Power Apps, or a 6-part series on AI Builder. And that might be enough, or you might get a taste for it and you want to do multiple series. Anyhow, that's an idea or a way that you can contribute. to the community, add value to so many people by creating podcasts. I hope that was helpful. If you have any comments or feedback, leave them below for me so I can respond. If you have other questions that you want me to answer on how to become an MVP, let me know. Otherwise, have an awesome day. Ciao for now.